customer's team can focus on things which actually matches their business,
Yes.
not doing the day-to-day plumbing and worrying about,
Yes.
okay, how do I come back up from this incident, right? Because we know how it's done.
We've seen massive customers get hit, be front page of news. Their products are unavailable for purchase. Like this is very much a real problem.
The target and the threat that we are dealing with are continuously changing.
And what's going to be your speed of response? And it's not just pushing a go button to push and recover.
Welcome to today's episode. And if you're a CIO, CISO, or technology leader, this one is for you. Cyber attacks, particularly ransomware, are no longer a question of if, they're a question of when. That shift in mindset from prevention to resilience is shaping how organizations think about data, infrastructure, and business continuity. Today, we're joined by three people at the forefront of this new era. Greg, Cohesity, VP and CTO of APJ and Global AI. We've got Christoph, HPE's hybrid cloud sales leader. And Gerald, Principal Pre-Sales Architect, APAC. Together, we'll unpack what it truly means to build a cyber-resilient organization, from protecting and recovering data to governing it across hybrid and multi-cloud environments, and what that means for business outcomes that matter most to you. Great to have you three with us.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Okay, so let's start a big picture. A few years ago, cybersecurity felt like an IT or CISO-only conversation. Today, cyber resilience is clearly a broad-level topic. Why has it moved so far up the agenda? I think this goes to Greg first.
Yeah, I think we've seen some really big shifts across the board. I think first and foremost, ransomware has become far more destructive than it ever has before. I think you see a lot more, not only just malware affecting business operations, but then also these companies are becoming front page news stories. And that's not good for the shareholder stock value. So not only is it just about checking the box and saying, hey, is my data protected? Am I able to meet the bare minimum of my regulatory compliance? But now you have insurance agencies, you have shareholder value that you've got to maintain. So it's become very much a board level discussion.
To add on to your point, Greg, what we're hearing from our customers is not if they will get attacked, it's when they actually get attacked.
Very much so.
And the important point is how fast can they actually recover, which is why we, as in HPE and Cohesity, are investing in infrastructure that helps you get back faster if and when, or when you do get attacked.
When you get attacked. And it's really about simplifying that whole end-to-end, no matter where that data lives. And I think that's what's beautiful about our solution.
Yeah, because there is a new form of complexity as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the customer are having also a different environment to manage. And I think also the market is shifting into their focus. Initially, I think they were focusing more on the protection, where now they are even realizing that the recovery is going to be as important as the protection. So there is also a shift that we can see into a lot of customers today. Yeah. So the complexity is there, but also the scale and the different focus that they have into the element that they need to take care of is also transitioning. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you said some good words there, protection and then recovery. And we hear both these words, cybersecurity and cyber resilience, used sometimes interchangeably.
Yeah.
How do you distinguish between the two?
No, I think when you first look at or first hear cybersecurity, it's about trying to defend from attackers getting in. Traditionally, cybersecurity was about how can I stop intruders coming in.
Yeah.
That's a fool's errand, I think, in today's day and age. It like you said earlier, it's not an if, it's a when.
Yeah.
They're going to make it through. There's going to be some new zero-day vulnerability that your systems aren't prepared to handle. And what I like about cyber resiliency, it's a broader discussion. It's about ensuring that all levels of your organization are thinking first and foremost about how to bring the business back online when that event happens, securely and responsibly, and with clean data to be able to not only recover the raw data, but the full application to a known good place and time. And so it's kind of a different holistic way of thinking.
Yeah, because a lot of people, when they recover, actually they recover on a copy, which is sometimes with malware already inside. Right? So this is why I was mentioning just before, the recovery element have been changing also, and the focus that people are putting on that is also shifting. Right? And I think that there is also another element that we can see when we say resiliency. It's no more just a technical discussion. It's also a process transformation and a different set of role and responsibility into the company that people are putting together, right? So it's a little bit of a transition also of moving just from purely technology and software and tools to really a complete ecosystem managed by the right people at the right point of time, because recovery as fast as possible is important, but it also need to be quite safe. Yeah.
All right, that leads into data, right? Christophe, you mentioned data, and I think why is data management not just a security control, but it's also so critical to cyber resilience strategy?
So when you're looking at a cyber resilience strategy, and a data management strategy, it's not just about storing the data as cheaply and as densely as possible. I think if you look back historically, that's what we did with backup. It's how cheap we can and small we can make the data. Maybe we'll have to recover it. And maybe if we have to recover the boss's email, it may take a half hour or a few days. But now with the change in tact from the attackers, we really need to focus on how we can find the data we need, how we can recover and retrieve that data as quickly as possible, and ensure that it's clean, like you were saying. So being able to holistically, like I said before, kind of look at the data, being able to sift through it and identify the exact files you need from the exact point in time you need to be able to recover into a clean, known, good environment is critical. And it's bigger than just backup or cybersecurity.
And I like that you mentioned that, Greg, because it's about that efficiency, right? How fast, where you move your data, how much you can recover, how quickly you can recover in lines with your RTOs and RPOs, which I think we'll go into a bit later. Which is why the combined solution makes sense, right? It's about moving workloads. The platform is not just about backups and DR. It also goes beyond that with file and object archiving. So it extends that platform to give that CIO and CISO a bit more breathability, a bit more options with their data management requirements.
It brings data protection, data security, and next generation intelligence in a simple to use platform that we can deliver together to our end customers.
And your 3X with Cohesity. So there you go.
Yeah, this element of simplification is also very important. I think a lot of the executive, I think they start to be also a little bit frustrated by the number of tools that they have into their environment. So this simplification and consolidation is also something that I believe people are also trying to find into some partnership like ours. We don't add, we also remove a set of elements that they have probably in duplication and so on to make it more centralized and more, I would say, easy to operate from a single community. Because again, if you have too many people using too many tools, it creates too many points of failure as well. And having a simplified and centralized way of doing things is definitely going to help into, again, going back to operation as early as possible.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, good. So Greg, this one's for you. Cohesity is often describes its evolution in 3 phases.
It does.
We just talked about that. Yeah.
From simplifying backup to managing data at scale, and now to using data for security, AI, and business value, right? Can you walk us through that journey?
I absolutely can walk you through that journey. And it's been a real fun journey over my tenure here at Cohesity, seeing all of these 3 acts become realized over time. And it first starts with data protection. We wanted to build a simple, infinitely scalable, intelligent platform to land all of that data onto a single space, break down the individual silos that are set up across the enterprise from all their various sites, on-prem, cloud, wherever, consolidate that down. Once that data is consolidated onto a single intelligent platform, we intrinsically enable our customers to re-leverage that data to start driving operational efficiencies, which brings us into the second phase of data security. We can re-leverage that data under management for protection to look through security, to do anomaly detection, to do data classification, threat hunting, et cetera. And where we've moved into the third act is extremely exciting. because that is a massive time series data repository, we're unlocking unprecedented capabilities to drive insights from that data through advanced AI-ready indexing. So it's really a beautiful data management platform that brings together all of those benefits, especially when they are an HPE and Cohesity combined solution.
Brilliant. Wow.
Yeah, brilliant. So as you move into the security-led phase, is it really about converging protection management and intelligence on that single data plane?
It really is.
Yeah.
I think through the security, it starts to kind of become a no-brainer when you can take that same data asset and put it back to work to help drive a lot of those cyber resilient features to help ensure that data is in a known good state. It's clean and free of any malware, or if there is malware, you understand at what point in time that anomaly was introduced into the fabric. A solution that is able to deliver that helps you build a very robust and secure infrastructure.
Nice, excellent. Okay, let's bring HPE into this, right? So let's bring this together. How do HPE and Cohesity jointly strengthen cyber resilient data security and management?
Okay, I'll start with the HPE part first. From a data protection perspective, we always talk about the edge to cloud, source to target data protection. So along with our co-built solutions with Cohesity, we provide that unified intelligent platform to store, manage, and protect your data. Right, so it's things like immutable snapshots, air gap solutions with isolated copies, Cohesity's
Fort Knox.
Fort Knox, that's right, and the ability of Cohesity to leverage Zerto for that disaster recovery using our CRV Cyber Resilience Vault. So we've got an end-to-end edge to cloud, or we say source to target data protection. Now, you've got the best-in-class in terms of storing, protecting, managing your data on best-in-class infrastructure, right, with our co-built solutions. And then you add on one other element, Christoph, which you can come in on.
Yeah,
which is,
I think there is a couple of more elements that we put on top of that. One is obviously the commercial aspect or the financial aspect of that. And we have obviously with GreenLake the way to not only give the things edge to cloud, but we're also able to give them on a more granular point of view, right? So people are able to pay as they go. They have a more progressive also investment that they need to do into this journey, right? Again, this is a journey. I think that cyber resilience is also something which is not just done in a day and you forget about it because it's going to be safe for the rest of your life. It's a continuous thing. So definitely customer will have to continue to invest in the time. So GreenLake is giving that capacity, right? The other thing that we have is the management, right? So GreenLake is providing the commercial, but we have also managed services who can help actually to manage that ecosystem safely. And I will even bring the term of neutrality. When you are into crisis, if you have a neutral operation agent, you have less panic than if it's your own baby. So managed services and our infrastructure managed services team are also, I think, a value to the customer to neutralize certain decisions, to be a little bit more cold when you have to take the decision on what do you need to recover and when. Because people are always rushing to get the things fast. Maybe to have people who are a little bit independent can make the process safer. Yeah? The last thing is also we have, I will say, this concept of zero trust. And so it's not only on GreenLake, but it's also on our infrastructure. Every single component that we are going to put into this so-called infrastructure is going to be trustable, physically trusted. And I think that is also something which is important for the customer because the security and the safety is many different components that we put all together, right? So I think we are also able to have this way with GreenLake and the hybrid cloud solution to aggregate all these different solutions again into something which is monolithic to the customer, at least from an appearance point of view. Yeah,
no, and it really brings in that predictability, reliability to the end user, being able to engage through one party to deliver all of those services, as well as a managed service to help drive that. on a day-to-day basis, the customer may say, okay, this is great, but when a crisis happens, and like we talked about earlier, when it's going to happen, it's not an if. Unfortunately, having that predictability, that reliability on the combined HPE Cohesity solution, I think it adds, it de-risks a whole deployment for the entire e-staff and board.
Yeah, if I can add also into this, it's an important topic, and maybe we go a little bit outside of the script sometime. But one thing which is important also is between Cohesity and HPE, there is also a lot of experience of this kind of crisis situation. Because we have many customers who are, unfortunately, have been facing that sometime somewhere.
Yes.
So our next customer may not have that, I would say, context, or they may not have that experience. And again, this is an element which is maybe a soft value, but it's a real big value to say, hey, what are people doing? What did they do? How did they improve their process? Because it's all about the process and the way people are moving together, right? It's not just a CISO responsibility, or it was getting less and less a CISO responsibility. So to learn all these best practices coming from the infrastructure, coming from the managed services, coming from the security, from the legal, there is many different components who are now going to be part of that solution.
Yeah.
So this really matters, right? And I want to talk about simplification, or maybe what you say, neutrality and the control, right? Most CIOs and CISOs tell us they're overwhelmed. So not just by threats, but by tool sprawl and operational complexity. How does this integrated approach actually make their lives easier?
I mean, I will start, but of course we can add on that. So as I mentioned, first is simplification of the economics.
Yes.
Yeah, is today dollars are difficult to get, and they're also very important to be demonstrated with an ROI. So to have a progressive, I would say, financial or economics, this is the first value that we bring there, right? The second thing is this simplification of the operation. Yeah, simplification of the operation by the experience of the people, but also with the technology that we put at disposition of these people. Cohesity, we also discuss about there too, but also OpsRamp. We have observability tools who can actually detect some imperfection into the operation. That can trigger a certain action on which copy I should take, because maybe the malware has been put not that day, but maybe the day before or the day before, because now we have a complete set of report and intelligence to ensure that, right? And as I mentioned, the experience of the people, the experience of being into this context in a past, right?
Yeah. And Christophe, if I may, I'll just sort of like dive into two of your things. One, you said operational simplicity, and you mentioned that from a management perspective, but also from a solution perspective. We don't have dispatch servers, we don't have media servers, we don't have different things that we need to manage our data or put our data on. It's a single platform that you can extend the use cases. So I'm talking more of the solution itself.
No,
so
even
that's why
the less
sense,
element
right?
you have into the solution, like a gun, right? If you have a gun with too many parts, you are sure that the thing is not going to work the day you want to shoot. Yeah, and here the same thing. You need to have also a very simplification of the tool set that you have, because you have also less point of failure.
Yep. And I'll just add on to the other one. You said embedded, the expertise, right? Like we know how to manage it. So that's from our perspective, right? So it gives the customer peace of mind. But I think the other element to that is the customer's team can focus on things which actually matches their business, not doing the day-to-day plumbing and worrying about, okay, how do I come back up from this incident, right? Because we know how it's done. We've done it before. And with that solution, which is a single platform, it makes it easier for them, for us, collectively. Yeah.
No, and on top of that, doubling down into the simplicity aspect of it, we give the customer the ability to leverage a global policy engine. They can create global simplified policies and apply it to their entire infrastructure stack. And again, with these global policies, the ability to audit, report on the completion of those policies, it really starts to de-risk a lot of this effort from the CISO's perspective. And I think what you were talking about with plugging in with other outside tools within the HPE ecosystem, when a threat is identified, with Cohesity and HPE, you do have the ability to orchestrate recoveries at scale because everything can plug into upstream and downstream systems. It's API first, zero trust. you can very easily orchestrate recoveries as needed to anywhere at scale.
Yeah, brilliant.
So let's get real and help the CIOs and CISOs relate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a real world example where this kind of cyber resilient data management made a material difference to them?
I can share several, and I will leave names out of it.
Leave names out.
Absolutely.
That's usually what the customer like.
That's usually what the customer likes. Unfortunately, I think we're seeing more and more of these as we go. But there's one that really kind of sticks into my head. This was before I had relocated to Asia. This was over in the US, a very large company.
Yeah.
Their backup system, they were running Cohesity, and their backup system alerted them that like, hey, there was an anomaly detected. And the backup admin said, oh, this is odd. Looked into it, checked with the security operations team. They're like, we're not seeing anything yet. Forward us the alert.
Yeah.
As soon as the alert was forwarded, before it had arrived and they started digging into it, all of the SOC tools lit up red. They were under attack. All of their data was getting encrypted, and the SecOps teams were busy kind of battling kind of the outer perimeter to block any further spread. Because it was on Cohesity, they disconnected Cohesity from the rest of the network, so it couldn't necessarily get any further infected. They were able to use the Cohesity security operations tools to figure out at what point in time that anomaly was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
They set up their clean room environment, which was disconnected from the infected part of the labs. And within half a day, they had all of their critical infrastructure, all of the applications back online to get the business back and going. This would have taken them months to recover from with the amount of data. And we've seen this from other customers that have come to us after the fact, where they said they spent 6 months trying to rebuild their environment.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this since I've now relocated to APJ. We've seen massive customers get hit, be front page of news. Their products are unavailable for purchase. Like this is very much a real problem.
Yeah.
But when we're able to help customers recover inside of half a day their critical business infrastructure, makes you feel pretty good.
That's real value there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, on my hand, it's not too much on the actual event, but I've seen quite a number of customers into the preparation. How do I get ready into that, right? And I've been always very surprised by the fact that the customer, unless you go into a form of workshop or table play kind of things, right? They really do not realize the scale of their problem.
Yes.
And when you ask them, okay, what is the RPO that you want to have? This one, the answer come very fast.
Yes.
Yeah. But when you ask, and this is very important to do this kind of exercise actually with a stakeholder into the room. Yeah. Because then the stakeholder start to realize that actually he cannot trust his own team. Why? Because when you ask them, how are they going to get to that RPO? That's where the things start to become a little bit blurrish.
Yeah.
Because first of all, there is always one person which is not there into the room to answer one of the questions. And we are only talking about tabletop discussion, right? We are not yet into the crisis, right? So then they start to realize actually that they have this fragmentation. They also start to realize that they are really edge to cloud, because I think a lot of executives have been putting not only the focus on the defense, but they have been putting also the focus on their core data center. Yeah, because they were not ready on the concept of hybrid cloud and the exposure that hybrid cloud is actually presenting today. So they may be very solid and secure for what they host into their data center because it's their baby. Yeah. But then they realize that actually all of them have an edge data center, which is also their baby, but not the one that they wanted to have maybe at the beginning. So they put a little bit of less emphasis into that. And then they have the baby cousins, which is into the public cloud, which is anyway something that they have from SLS. But then they start to realize that when they put all this stuff together, then it's a Swiss cheese.
It is.
It is full of holes. It is full of finger pointing. It's full of different tools. And that is always a very interesting exercise. And if you align that with the cost of the impact, because the RTO is one thing, but when you bring that to the business continuity planning, when you look at the impact of loss of 1 hour of operation, 2 hours operation, depending on the industry, sometimes we see some, I would say, private sector into the press, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to public sector, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to energy generation, I was with one customer in Australia, which is trading energy. I mean, if they lose 3 minutes of their trading, they cannot trade for 11 years.
Whoa.
Whoa,
Yeah.
regulation?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the regulation. What can I say,
Wow.
right?
Mhm.
3 minutes on something like energy generation, which is having so many different elements and layer in the cloud, on the core data center, and definitely at the edge. You can imagine that you ensure that 3 minutes is quite critical.
Yes.
And I can tell you that they had some really big problem that they didn't realize. They fixed it ultimately, but this realization really was a little bit of a shock for them, right? So I think one of my experiences into that form of discussion, I think is always very valuable to go take a stakeholder or the people who are really owning the business of one of the company, if it's possible, to bring them into the situation where is my team ready to support my business, and how is documented, how this stuff is documented. Yeah. Today, that is always a very simple exercise. And usually as a sales, but also as a customer, you can see that there is definitely opportunity for you to improve your defense or your potential quota retirement.
There's something in there for everyone, right?
There is.
All right. Christophe, you mentioned a little bit about, maybe a higher attack surface because of all the babies or
Cousins.
Cousins.
Right?
Whatever is your family tree.
Yeah,
It's
we
okay.
don't judge. We're modern. It's a modern
it's
world.
not specifically for your family, by the way.
You're not going to judge.
No, I'm not judging. Great.
No, it's good. Well, most organizations today are hybrid by default. We started somewhere, but it's hybrid now. Multiple data centers, at least one hyperscaler, at least one, SaaS applications everywhere, and data at the edge. How does HPE and Cohesity strategy support that reality?
To have a kind of partnership, which is H2 Cloud, is really giving the ability to solve the H2 Cloud. Yeah. So today we are starting our partnership with Cohesity with that in mind. It is not an after-fact engineering. We have a set of solutions, people, economics, and technology who are designed for the H2 Cloud. Yeah, we mentioned at the beginning all these different elements that we have been putting together on both sides to really address that. So obviously, HPE is there to not only, I think we sometimes think about us about being on-prem type of guys, right? But actually, our platform and the tools that we have into our hybrid cloud solution are not specifically dedicated to core data center. Yeah? We can also enhance the operation that people are having into the public cloud and also at the edge. So I think we have that capacity to stretch from the edge all the way to the public cloud. And as I mentioned earlier, we have also the set of services that we can make it possible, because customers also don't have too much time to equip themselves and transform their business process. So we give them not only the technology, but we give them also a set of best practice and operation readiness package that they can implement immediately as a best practice, and then take that as a foundation. Then from their foundation, they will be able to improve and make it a little bit more personal. But that creation of the foundation is so critical to have that right. Because if you have a foundation which is just like, again, with some little hole inside, you will go back to your previous problem. You will be another tool with another set of people who are managing just a silo or cluster, where you need to have something which is, again, for your complete enterprise. So I think this is what we bring to the table here. Yeah,
that's good.
No, I think absolutely. To simplify a lot of it from kind of the core Cohesity product perspective, if you look at a lot of the core tenets of like hyperconvergence, it's bring the tool to the data, because data is big and it has gravity. And I think that's one of the nice things about our combined solution is we have the ability to deploy this software where the customer's tools and data live. It's a single piece of software that can bind together core data centers, edge locations, clouds, and it's not just a single cloud today in the enterprise. The enterprises are shopping around the cloud to find the best place to put their tool.
Yeah.
And I think if they don't come into this world with a sound data management strategy and solution to holistically look at it, you're going to have a whole bunch of tools, these individual tools to solve point problems, which may work on a day-to-day basis, but when crisis comes, that person's not going to be at the table to be able to answer the question. So being able to bring a simplified approach, a single pane of glass to manage it over a single glass of pain, as I like to kind of say, is really what I think customers are looking for in a hybrid environment.
Yeah.
You know, they're building a hybrid environment to find the best location for their data and tools. And we, HPE and Cohesity, can meet them in those locations with a similar tool to help protect, secure, and provide insights to that data.
And before maybe you add something, Jordan, I think there is also an element of agility that our solution is also giving. Because we were talking about, let's say, they have at least one cloud. I think customers have one cloud today. They may have two clouds tomorrow. You know, they may need to have a third one because of whatever geopolitical story they are going to have.
Yes.
So world is changing. And even though we bring simplification, we also bring agility, because this is still giving a way to adapt to the next context.
Yes.
Yeah, because the target and the threat that we are dealing with are continuously changing. As I said, the geopolitics are changing, the technology are changing, the type of malware are also changing.
Yes.
So we need to have this simple and something will look like very monolithic, but as I said, we have this capacity to bring agility to the customer for the entire life cycle, and that is, I think, a really big value for the stakeholder of the company, and especially the guys who are in charge of the business, because they don't want to have a lock. And our technology do not lock the people into that specific technology alone, and with just a set of features that are limited to a certain number of applications and so on. Right? We give them that flexibility, and I think into the current economy, into the current industries that we are facing, I think this is coming very, very important.
So if we were to summarize it, it's modern data platform, flexible economics, flexible choice, expertise across multiple clouds.
Well, that's so, sometimes you're so brilliant.
I know.
HPE plus
brilliant,
Cohesity.
really.
That's it.
Simplicity at
simplicity.
scale.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, simplicity at scale. So
because it looks like what we said wasn't too simple, but
you
make it so simple now.
I was bringing it
I'm
together.
totally on it now. I tell you, makes sense.
It does. It's good. It's very good. Very good.
Yeah, I was just summarizing it. So
you
people
did-
go
no,
to
you did a
Cliff
good
Notes,
job.
we could say,
Yeah.
look at this point for the Cliff Notes. Hey,
That's a Gerald.
always wanted to do
yeah.
that on the podcast.
Check the chapters.
Check the
All right, good guys. I mean, Crystal, you told the story about 3 minutes of downtime is going to cause years of regulatory problems. So I want to talk about compliance and regulatory expectations that are rising everywhere. Geopolitics also, right? But how does cyber resilient data management help organizations meet those obligations, Greg?
Oh, we always love talking about compliance and regulations, especially as a technologist. It's like one of my favorite things to do. But in all seriousness, I think there's kind of like three core things that we help provide as a tool set, those compliance and auditors. And first and foremost, data classification and governance. Built into our system, we give customers the ability to understand more about their data. Do they have non-compliant data living in parts of their environment that need to be compliant? Are they storing data has PII in the public cloud where it shouldn't be? These are all really hard problems to solve at scale for an organization. They might be able to find one or two things, but can they go to a regulator and say, yes, we have data living in the right places? And who has access to that data, being able to help manage a sound governance policy globally across their environment, being able to have, like we talked about earlier, that policy-driven protection scheme, being able to create policies in the system that align upstream to what the regulators are pushing down onto them is critical. Because not only can you create those policies, but now you can go back and report on them, which is kind of gives you the auditability aspect of the end-to-end system. So now you have a system that can provide these solutions for the customer, and they can then provide reports back to the regulators through auditability to say, like, look, we are compliant with the regulations as they're laid out in front of us.
Yeah, I think on our hand, we bring that on premise. I think we of course you have the capacity to do that into an hybrid environment, but let's say some customer have a demand. I was recently, for example, in Thailand, some energy provider again. They need at the end by regulation to have things really into their data center and in control at a certain point of time, right? So they are talking about air gap solution, and air gap solution. If you are not into I would say physical data center that you control pretty well, it's very difficult to have a true air gap. Because at the moment you have people who are starting to go through your network. Actually, we haven't speak too much about the fact that we have network also now into our portfolio with Juniper, which is giving another dimension of the layer that we can control. But again, I go back to my point here, is this customer is asked to have compliant data and reporting to be also managed within an environment that they control. And again, this is something that through some of the technology and of course we have equipment who can be delivered into a physical environment, but we are also having the capacity to have a kind of air gap operation that we can also give to the customer on a specific location into a specific country to follow the regulation and compliance of that specific country. Because that is also, I go back to my point of flexibility. You can be very good in maybe North America, but to operate into maybe Thailand or in Philippines, the regulations are different, the rules are different. So to have also that localization of the services, this is something that we have capacity to be aligned with the local regulation. This is something that we have intelligence about, and where our process and I would say best practices are already adapting to that, right? So that is also something that we are bringing. Again, in addition of the technology, we have the people and we have the capacity to operate within the local regulation with the knowledge of that local regulation, which is, I think, very important. Yeah.
I think that can't be overlooked. You know, it's we're able to deliver a safe, secure, and sovereign solution to these organizations, no matter where they operate around the world.
Yeah, you want to go maybe on a little bit of...
Well, I like those points, right? Because you just mentioned, regardless of where they are in the world, you know, we can provide a solution that addresses their needs. And that's in alignment with what we do, right? You know, regardless of where your data is, edge to cloud, source to target protection. So just to underpin both your points, right? And we started the conversation with, you know, compliance and regulatory. Our systems are designed for that. You mentioned zero trust earlier. That's what our servers are designed for. From a storage perspective, the arrays understand early detection for ransomware, so we can detect that at the source. You mentioned, you know, having an air gap solution. Well, we've got that with the Zerto Cyber Resilience Vault. It is a true air gap solution. It is not accessible. It's not visible online. And it is designed for you, for those crown jewels that you absolutely need to protect. So for your energy customer, that would be an ideal solution, because that's things that no one else can touch, that they have full control of, and they will know that there's a guaranteed safe copy for them to restore in case something were to happen, and restoring en masse in minutes. And then obviously with the combined solution, regardless of where the customer is, we can follow local regulations on a co-built solution, which is best of breed, right? And look, I'll add one other element, which is you know, the old school true air gap, which is still tape. And again, look, it's something that integrates well with the portfolio. It works well with, you know, what we do from a edge to cloud, source to target, because it addresses a different kind of needs where, you know, maybe the speed of return is not that critical. So we still have something which is safe, truly air gapped, in a secure location that we need to, in case, you know, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Let's talk about helping our customer CIOs and CISOs win, right? Yeah. And cyber resilience, is it an objective or is it a subjective thing, right? How do you measure success in cyber resilience, or how good is your cyber resilience? How does somebody measure this?
I tell most customers, just kind of check the win, see how you're feeling on a given day. But in all seriousness, metrics are king. If you want to improve something, you have to be able to first measure it. You need a baseline.
Yeah.
And I think, in my opinion, and I think in our opinion, there are a couple of just simple metrics. Your RTOs and RPOs. Those are not anything brand new. It's not ultra modern, but they're there for a reason, and they've been consistent for a reason. Are you able to meet them? Are you able to hit your RTOs and RTOs consistently? Do you need to augment them? Do you need to change your policies? Do you need to reconfigure your protection schemes? Do you need to understand what it's going to take to recover? So get to know your RTOs and RPOs intimately. Coverage and consistency of your backups. What percentage of your infrastructure is being protected? Do you know how much your infrastructure is not being protected? It's a silly question, but I think especially in the days of, there was shadow IT, then shadow cloud, and I think now we're seeing a lot of shadow AI. How much of your data and infrastructure is actually being protected? Track it, monitor it. There are tools out there for it. And I think we talked about tabletop exercises. What is your detection mechanisms and how quickly you're able to detect, and what's going to be your speed of response? And it's not just pushing a go button to push and recover, but end to end, do the tabletop exercises. Time yourselves. This should be a quarterly event that you're doing, not just something one-off once a year. And so I think these are high-level CISO level, board level metrics that you can use to monitor those over time.
Can I add one more, a couple of things?
You can add as many as you like.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So the RPO and RTO, that's great, right? And that's mostly what we ask the IT team. So what's your RTO and RPO? And they give you a certain response, X amount of hours.
Sure.
But I think when it gets to the board level is, if you were down for that amount of time, how much money would you lose? I guess that becomes a
reframing.
Bit more reframing.
Reframing the question is extremely important.
Because you go, look, my RPO is 4 hours. Right? Great. What does that mean in terms of lost revenue for the business?
If you lost that amount of data, are you going to be okay?
Yeah.
Or what applications can absorb that?
Exactly. Yeah. So the RPO and RTO is important to the operations team.
Yeah.
Right. Because we need to get back in a certain amount of hours. But I think if we can translate that to actual dollars loss and business loss, that's far more powerful.
Yeah.
And also it helps that our combined solutions will cost far less and help them recover way more. So it's a bit of a win-win there. And then the second thing is that whole operational efficiency. And this is where, potentially we can come in later, Christoph, with the Greenlight part of it. But this is a measured, and when we speak to our joint customers, it's a measured 50 to 70% improvement in overall efficiency. So that's time spent, less time spent managing the environment, less cost. And I think I started with this early on the podcast. It's about reusing their time to do something more valuable for the business, as opposed to watering and feeding a backup solution, which we do efficiently anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah. On my hand, I will say two things. Right? The first one is be part of it. I think a lot of executives are sometimes delegating this kind of table exercise to a group of people and say, and by the way, was it okay? We are safe.
Was it okay?
Yeah,
we're good today.
It's a very, because they will ask the question directly to that team. And I think that they sometimes delegate too much, and to be part of that exercise, maybe not on a monthly basis, but maybe on a quarterly basis, and make sure that the stakeholder are really at the table as well to listen what is really the discussion. It is making a big difference. First, you were talking about the cost impact. They will also realize firsthand, how that is going to hurt them. And that can help a fair bit the CISO, because ultimately there is a budget that they need to secure.
This is true. Yeah.
So if the executive are thinking that they are safe, why they should invest?
Right.
Yeah. But if they realize firsthand that actually, I better put a little bit of an additional layer there, because I don't feel comfortable. So I think I can go into this direction. The second element that I want to also say is, are you future-proof? Yeah, because this is a very changing environment. Yeah, and you can do all this test and all this play on whatever you know. But to again bring somebody who can give you a little bit of a picture of the future. There is a lot of trend. Some are true, some are not true. Some are into area that you didn't even predict. Yeah, because again, remember that you know only what you know. And if you are only into your little cluster, you will only have that knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to time bring some external expertise from Cohesity, from HPE, or maybe from some people into the market who are specialized into this domain, will refresh also your table play. Yeah, because if you continue to play the same game again and again, I mean, at the end, it's like mahjong, right? It never changes, right? But if you start to also be aware about the different rules or the different transformation or the way people have been impacted into other territories, then you will start to also adjust and maybe make your next plan, because you need to plan that, because you need to have, again, another maybe training that you will have to take, another group of people that you will have to enable, another maybe module that you have to maybe protect, a different application platform that you will have to build. So you need to understand all that a little bit ahead, right? And I think today, playing on the table on the, I would say, organizing the recovery of what you know, it's a good exercise, but planning the next trade is what is critical, because you need to protect to the future. You protecting to the past, nobody care. Yeah.
Totally makes sense, guys. I think we're almost out of time, so this is like the closing and key takeaways, right?
Awesome.
And I'm gonna ask all three of you, right? Can you give a nice takeaway that you want to definitely have the CISO and CIO remember after this podcast?
I can start here and say,
I think it was great.
Absolutely. I think in today's day and age, if you're still treating data protection, cybersecurity, cyber resilience different, and if you're just using it as a checkbox to say, oh yeah, I'm backing up the data, it's being stored next to the applications in the data center, take a step back and kind of reevaluate what's happening in the world around you. Look and find a solution like the combined HPE Cohesity solution that gives you next generation data protection, cybersecurity, and helps you unlock unprecedented insights, making that data AI ready, all safely, securely, and responsibly. And I can think of no better partnership than the partnership between HPE and Cohesity to help deliver that in a meaningful, predictive, and simple way.
Yeah, and you're not building this alone, right?
No.
You've got the combined expertise from both HPE and Cohesity. And Christoph, you pointed out, operational simplicity, experience, multi-cloud. So we've got that experience from source to target, as I mentioned before, from edge to cloud. You're not doing it alone. We can come in with you. And it's great on this podcast. We didn't actually talk about, specific products, but we talked about solution. We talked about outcomes that total solutions. So work with, your HPE Cohesity rep to come in so that we can, help you on that journey for a modern, stable, and flexible platform.
Yeah. On my hand, I will just say one thing. Yeah, is call us and we will help you to do a very simple assessment.
Brilliant.
As you mentioned, only things that you have been able to measure, you can improve.
Yeah.
Have you measured, and when was that measure done? Let's have that picture all together and see then what we can do. Because you can see that definitely there is a motivation on both sides here, but we need to make sure that the customer call us and that they basically do a first assessment. Then from there, we can see what we can do for them.
Thank you very much for your insights, guys. So I think that's gonna be almost a wrap. Don't stand up first. For listeners who want to learn more, we will include the links to resources on HPE solutions with Cohesity, HPE GreenLake for data protection, and Cohesity cyber resilience capabilities in the show notes. And with that, thank you for joining us. We will see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much.
And thank
It was
you, Greg.
great, actually.
Yeah.